Well, people want to see on YouTube a little bit after, so that's why I've done it. How's YouTube? What does it look like? I have no idea.
All right, we just went live. Share it.
You're not muted though, Yosef. All right, so good morning, Rabbi Isai. Today is the 40th day of the Omer. And somebody pointed out yesterday, I missed it, but it's always, I love when they tell me this after this year. We were doing the 39 melachas yesterday, the mission of 39 melachas. It was 39, but today's 40. Arba'im chaser achas. We're still going with the 39 melachas. Hayom arba'im yom shem chamisha shavuos v'chamisha yomim ba'omer. Today's shir is being sponsored, and I don't know who it is. I really don't know who it is, but the name looks familiar. I thought maybe we've done this name before. I don't know. L'zeich nishmas ruchama chaya fruma aleha shalom bas Reb Doiv Pinchas. The neshama should have an aliyah. So I have an email, a Musar email. It's called Slight Musar. It's a Musar to me, so I like to get Musar. It's always geschmack to get a good piece of Musar. This is from Abe Auerbach. This is, I believe, Mendy's cousin, right? We had an email from him once in the past. I love your shiurim and I listen virtually every day. On your recent shir, you kind of made a comment that I feel was slightly inappropriate. Especially, he puts in parentheses, especially for Marbit's Torah like yourself. Shtickle compliment there. Wow. You said that you went to an ultra Haredi yeshiva, 3 ultras, and you said the name, where they indiscriminately would go around and whack the kids. While I don't doubt that for a minute that it happened, not to you of course, I do feel that you were kind of insinuating that the more ultra Haredi, the more they beat the kids. I hope that's not true, and on the contrary, that's completely anti-chinuch. A yeshiva who does that should be characterized as ultra chiloni. They both accomplish the same thing, making sure our precious kids don't see the beauty and pleasure of Torah. Please keep up the amazing work. All right, I take the Musar. I hope I wasn't insinuating that. I completely don't agree with that shita, and today they don't do that anymore. I was just saying that back in the day we had, those Rebbeim, Holocaust survivors, and they thought it was the right thing to do. And I hope it didn't come across as me promoting that or anything like that. But anytime there's a shtick musar, I do need to pat myself on the shoulder every day. And Baruch Hashem, our great friend Dave from Malibu, California. He lives in a community that he tells me there's barely a minyan on Shabbos. This guy, he loves to surf. He lives on the ocean, he surfs, and he visited us 3 or 4 times already. He's a real part of the Chabura. He literally doesn't miss a day. He constantly texts me about the shir, etc., etc. And this is what he sends me. I really was taken aback by this. A shock. This is what it says here. 195. I'll read it to you. Reb Ironman. Eli's consecutive shir streak as of today, 195. It's all about the Yomi. 997 more to catch AC Green. All-time NBA consecutive game streak, 2,437 more to catch Cal Ripken Jr. I remember that day and when he ran around the stadium. So 195 is really not a very big number in terms of Magid Shurim. Noam and I were sitting once with a caterer, and she told us that her husband hasn't missed, I don't remember how many years. He could tell you. He lives here in Ramat Bet Shemesh. He refuses to go a mile out of Bet Shemesh. Every one of his weddings, he had the whole shir come, and he used a shir at his kid's wedding. So 195, for me though, it is a huge accomplishment. I do have a business in America, and I haven't been there in 6.5 months, which is crazy. The other crazy thing is, for me personally, and maybe somebody else could take a lesson from it, I don't have that consistency personality. That's not me. I like to break things up a lot, go skiing here, jump out of a plane there. Some people call me ADD, whatever. I'm more entrepreneurial. I'm a great starter, a very weak finisher, those who know me. So 195 days, for me it's a big shock. I really didn't know, I didn't look back. This goes back to like somewhere in Nida, Friday, Shabbos. But I'm a little bit upset at him that he sent this to me because I don't know why he didn't wait to 200. That would have been a nice round number. And you and I both know that tomorrow I'm going to sleep in. You know, right? Once this comes out like this, my alarm is not going to work. Something's going to happen. I'm not going to make it to 200. You know that. So anyway, I have to, this is Chashiv. I don't know who this is. I'm putting it up here on the board. Look, he said I have to put up on the board. It's going right over here. 195. The point is, okay, here's the point. Point is, if I could do it, anybody could do it. It's really not my personality, but I have to give a lot of credit to Corona for keeping me here in Eretz Yisrael, not going for Pesach. It's probably never going to happen again. I don't see it possible for me, just the way, my business is in America. I have Pesach that I go to America. I go to the summer, so 6.5 months, probably never going to happen again. But also that pressure of being here during brachas and making sure that the shear just takes off and this and that. So it's once in a lifetime. I have to bask in the sun while it's here. Baruch Hashem, it's a tremendous thing, and I give all the credit really to the whole Chabura. The pressure from the Chabura being here, I can't let you guys down. So Yesher Koyach. With that being said, let's jump into the sugya. I might have made a mistake yesterday. I didn't have time to go back and check it, but right after shir was over, I was talking to the guys in Zoom, and I said, wait a minute. Did I discuss the word Mesach? I might have said the wrong thing. I don't know if I said the wrong thing or just skipped it, or maybe I said it. I doubt it. But Mesach is putting these threads on these rollers. I don't even remember talking about it, so I probably said the wrong thing. So just in case, I have to correct that. Mesach is putting, and we actually might touch it today, putting the strings on these two rollers. Right over here, that's how you do it. There is a beautiful video that Yosef sent me last night, and if we had the TVs in the Beis Medrash, that would be a very rare video that I would actually show during the shir. It's of a Hasidic Yid using this machine, and it goes up and down, and you see the Erev running. But it's a very sophisticated machine. It's not like this, but it's this, just in a more modern. It's very, what do you call it? It's all manual, but they had cool tricks, how the thing goes flying from side to side and just up and down. It's a very slow process. Every 3 ones, he has to stop and check. Anyway, it would be very cool to watch that video. Maybe, Yosef, you put it on the group if you haven't already. It's a Hasidic guy. It's the machine, just to understand what's going on. So here's the question. Think about this for a second. If you were to take a pair of socks out of your drawer on Shabbos, there's a possibility that they will put you to death for that. How? Why? So that's the sugya that we're learning today. It's an amazing sugya of boirer, of selecting, and it really applies to so many different parts of our day-to-day life. And as I was learning this, I realized that there's so many things that a pile of svarim, just to take out a sefer that you don't really care about, is asr mid'oraisa, or a pair of socks. I mean, I'm not making this up. These are the Achronim discuss it, the Rishonim discuss it. These are things that in our day-to-day life, taking out bones from fish. Now, the certain things we'll see that are not so posh, like a seed from a watermelon might be different, but certain things, yes. So let's see. Before we start, I just want to point out, a lot of you already know this, but there's a Rosh Tevis brought down in the Achronim Ayol, and that is Oichel Mipsoilas, the way to get around boirer and select something on Shabbos. It has to have 3 conditions. It has to be the oichel mipsoilos. It has to be that you're taking the good from the bad, the pair of socks you want, not the pair of socks you don't want. Yad, you're doing it with your hand and not with a kli. In other words, if I were to take soup out with a ladle that has holes in it, that would be a iser d'oraisa, because I'm using a kli. I'm using a vessel to sift the good from the bad, or the bad from the good. It doesn't matter, because I'm using a vessel. And that is aser. And la'alter, which means right away. I need to eat this immediately, whatever immediately means, within the realm of immediate to the Suda. It has to be done with my hand. It has to be food from the inedible part. Now, if I were to grab my raincoat from a pile of coats that I have sitting around somewhere, and I grab it, and I'm not using it because it's not raining, I am over on a boirer. So these are things that happen on a day-to-day, on a Shabbos to Shabbos basis. If we don't pay attention, we can mamish be over a deraisa. It's not solely about food. It's about any item, anything. If I take toys from a pile of toys, here, you see the halachas lamaisa right over here. He brings all these different cases of eating watermelon, not eating. Shaking a watermelon of the pits is okay, and spitting out the pits is okay. But going like this with your finger, okay, that's biyad. You're eating it right away. So you have to know where it is and where it isn't. Here's the guy that's using a ladle, mamish a mafurish sefer of lamet tes malachas, Baruch Chait and Yoni. So let's see it inside. It's an unbelievable sugya. It's not such a long sugya, but it's a very cool sugya and a very important sugya for halach l'maisa day to day. Says the Gemara, we're holding the Ayin Gimel and Beis on the bottom. Hazoyra haboyra v'atoichem v'amerakeid. Let's see if I could find them here. Zoyra, we said, is this guy right over here, throwing up the wheat into the ear where the kernels that are heavier fall down into a pile and the shaft blows off into the wind. What else do we have? We have this guy, Meraked. You see him? He's using a sifter. They're both doing the same exact thing. They're both separating the good from the bad. And then you have Bayer, the typical, he just puts everything down on a plate and he starts moving it around. He gets the good from the bad. Says the Gemara, Hainu Zoyra, Hainu Bayer, Hainu Meraked. They're doing the exact same melacha. They're accomplishing the same thing. They're separating the good from the bad. Says Abai v'Rava, the Amrit Tarvayu kol Misad Avi b'Mishkan. So the question is, why are they brought down as separate individual melachas in the Mishnah? Says Abai v'Rava, Afakav Dika Dedamilo Chashivlo. This was a way that they did it in the Mishkan. They actually went through these processes, and therefore they are considered three individual melachas. L'may nafkamina, huge nafkamina. If a person does meraked, and in one awareness he goes ahead and he does bayrer, and then he throws it up in the air and he does zaira, he has to bring three korbanos. Even though it's one action, it's l'chayr one thing. Whereas if a person were to plant a seed and then plant a tree and then cut a tree and cause all these things to grow, he brings one korban. Why? Because in the Mishnah it only says one thing. It says zayreah. They are all included in the umbrella of zayreah. But since the Mishnah talks about three different types of bayrer, then you're chayiv on three bayrers. How do we know to get to these three bayrers? Why? Because we have a number 39. We have to get to 39. The Mishnah understood. That's what it is. And that, in order to make bread, in order to make samemanim, the dyes, you have to go through these processes. There's certain process, you have to throw it up in the air, and then you go like this, and you go like that. That's what you do. So it's all part of it. As the Gemara, so koitesh, we know, just show you for the fun. This is a koitesh. You put the wheat in here, and it's really, as explained, it's to remove, to separate the bran from to make it white flour. So it's another process of removing. You're not removing the shaft from the kernel. Over here, you're removing the bran from the kernel. It's another type of removing. So, look, when you make bread, that's one of the processes that you do. So there should be 4 bayres. This remains, this svara of Abaya. Since a poor person could eat his bread without this process, and that's what he doesn't have time for this, he's going to eat it with the bran, so therefore it's not included in the malachas. Yes, says Rashi, it was in the Mikdash, you're right, it was in the Mishkan, but a poor person doesn't need it. And if a poor person doesn't need it at home, so then we're not going to include it. Rava Amar Hamani Rebihi. The Amar Avis Malachis Arbaim Chosa Achas. Rebbe is the one who says Eile Hadvarim. Eile is 36. Hadvarim is 3. Dvarim is 2. Hadvarim is 3. As we mentioned yesterday, he's the one that gives this drasha. Therefore, Arbaim Chosar Achas fits right in. 40 days in the Omer, Arbaim. So there are 39 malachas. V'choshev kaitesh, and if you're going to add one more, havila arbaim, that's too many. As the Gemara, that doesn't make so much sense. Why are there 3 boirer and only one dash? Put in 2 and 2. Take out one of the boirers. You don't need 3. Who says you need 3? Make it even. It's much better to do 2 and 2. Says the Gemara. Yeah, I like Abayi's pshat better, says the Gemara. Since a poor person doesn't really need ketisha, he doesn't need to pound it, therefore it's not necessary, it's not one of the essential melachas that were done in the Mishkan. We rather have the essential ones, even though there are 3 of the same. Tan Rabbanon, hoy lefan of mini achlin. So, this idea that the Rishonim talk about, most Rishonim agree to this. It's not Mefurish and Rashi. Some say he agrees to this, doesn't agree to it. But this is how it's brought down in La Halacha. These 3 things, that in order to eat something on Shabbos, you need to be oichel, ma psoilos, not psoilos ma'oichel. You have to take the good from the bad. It has to be done with your hand and not with a kli, not with a vessel. What about a fork? A fork. Can I take out something with a fork? Says Rav Moshe Feinstein, no, it's boirer, it's a kli. If it helps you. If it doesn't help you, you just don't want to get your hand dirty, yes, you could use a fork. But if it's a great tool to separate the lakshin from your soup, boirer, with a kli, Rav Moshe Feinstein. So again, you got to think about it while you're eating something with a fork. It applies. I'm saying these are things that just apply all the time. If you're not aware of these halachas, it could be dangerous. And finally, we have la'alter, meaning miyad, right away. Where do we get these 3? From this sugya coming up right now. So we have a riddle. Typical Brisa riddle, words that, you're just to read them, don't make any sense. And it's your business to figure out what it says here. Figure it out. It's such a riddle that it took 5 Amoraim, 5 tries. There are 5 tries here. And from these 5 tries, we extract these 3 halachas. Hailafan of mini achlin. He has in front of him, so Rashi explains, don't read it literally, different types of food. It means one type of food according to Rashi. Other Rishonim argue, one type of food, we're going according to Rashi, everything. One type of food with psailas, with inedible material. He could do breira, not a problem, because he's going to eat it. He could do breira uminiach, explain the Rishonim, to give it to a friend. I could separate in order to eat it for myself, or separate to give it to my friend. Now we're going to do a 180, just to make the riddle interesting. You're not allowed to do breira. You just said you're allowed to do breira. Now you're saying you're not allowed to do breira. No explanation. Vim beirer, and if you did breira, chayev chatos. It's a dairaisa to do breira. And if you do it, chatos, what's going on here? Maika Omar, we need to understand the simple words. Try number 1, Omar Ula. Hachika Omar, beirer v'oichel le'boi bayoim. U'beirer miniach le'boi bayoim. If you're going to do breira for Shabbos, that's 100% great. U'lemachar le'yivrar. The isser is to do it for tomorrow. Vim beirer, and if you did it for tomorrow, for Sunday, chayev chatos. Maskevler Rav Chizda, v'chim muter le'efois le'boi bayoim, v'chim muter le'vash le'boi bayoim. Where in the world do we have a malacha da'iraisa that you're allowed to do today, but you can't do it for Sunday? All the malachas are for today. If that's what they did in the Mishkan, there's no logic to say that, but you're allowed to do it on Shabbos. Why? It's interesting. Each one asks a question and says their own pshat in the riddle. If the shear typically in Shabbos is a gregaris, a dried fig, I'm going to do boyer less than a dried fig. That's okay. Boyer miniach pachas mikashir, and I'll do it for my friend. Ukashir, but if I'm going to do a full dried fig, lo yivra. Vim beirar, and if you did it, chayev chatos. That's how I explain the riddle. Maskevler of Yosef, v'chim muter le'efois pachas mikashir. By the way, these two, we don't extract any halachas from them. They're so off, I guess. It's like the Gemara says, impossible what you're saying. There's no heter. Are you allowed to cook a half a dried fig? Are you allowed to do anything in the Torah? That's half a shear. Says Rashi, famous Rashi in Shas, very famous. This is brought down In Shabbos Daf Ayin Daled, also Rashi brings Yuma Daf Ayin Daled. Same daf, same place. When we're talking about Chatzi Shir, Nihi Dechi of Chatas Leki Isur Mi'ika. The concept of Chatzi Shir, if the Torah says you cannot eat a Kazayis Chaylev, the Torah is only telling you that if you eat a Kazayis Chaylev, you'll get punished with a Kazayis. But a half a Kazayis is 100% Asim Midaraisa. There's no difference between a half a Kazayis and a full Kazayis. Only to tell me that the Shir comes to say that I'm Chayiv a Karban. If you hold that Chatzi Shir Midaraisa, according to Rabbi Yochanan, etc. So if you hold that Chatzi Shir is Asim Min HaTorah, even less than the full Shir is Asim Min HaTorah, V'chimuta lefo is pachas mikashir. Are you allowed to bake a half a shear? So why should I be able to do boyer half a shear? That doesn't stay. That doesn't remain la halacha. El Omer Rav Yosef, boyer va'oichel biyad. So here's halacha number 1. The Bryce is coming to say what's allowed if you do it with your hand. There's only one condition according to Rav Yosef: do it with your hand. Boyer miniach biyad. I can do it for my friend with my hand. Bekanan or betamchoy lo yivror. Kanan and tamchoy. This is just for illustrative purposes, just to get an idea of what I just based it on Rashi. I could be way off, but Rashi seems to say it's a funnel that looks something like this. Now it could be something else, but the point is that it's very wide on the top, narrow on the bottom, and you throw your food in, and somehow the good stuff comes out, the bad stuff, the peel, the whatever it is, stays on top. Tamchoy is a plain old plate. Okay? Now, that's not the way you do boyer. But I could put it on my plate and start going like this. So, this is what we call kila'achar yad. It's not the regular way to do it. Weirdos do it like that. Kila'achar yad. It's like me moving my muktzah with my elbow. It's not the way to do it. So, if it's not the way to do it, it's asim midrabanan. Potter aval aser. Shouldn't do it. However, these are type of sifters. So I just put this one over here because I thought it would match nicely. The round and the round. This is a little bit heavier for the bigger, larger stuff to come out. And this is a doiraisa, and this is a derabana. So you could say, like a gzeira kind of thing. This one also looks similar. I put it here. I'm not saying this is what a sifter looks like. It's a little thinner, for thinner material. This is Issa D'Oraisa, right? It has holes in it. This is how people sift. This is how your wife sifts the flour today. Similar to this guy. This is the Rabban and this is the D'Oraisa. Fine. I just thought it's cute. It kind of matches up. Maybe there's a certain like gzeira kind of thing. Okay. That's Issa D'Oraisa. So here we see the concept of yad and kli. The kli is 100% asim deraisa. The yad is mutter according to Rav Yosef. Maskula Rav Amnuna midi konim v'tamchuk tani. I looked in the brisa. I don't see the brisa mentioning not a konim tamchui and not a napu kvara. Nothing's mentioned. No kalim. It just says boyer is mutter, boyer is aser. What is it? Who told you to throw in a kli over here? El Omer Rav Amnuna. However, the Gemara remains with that logic of yad versus kli. It just doesn't explain the brisa 100%. But we're going to keep at least that idea that doing it with the hand is one of the conditions that allows you to do it on Shabbos. Hello, Rav Amnuna. I have a pshat. I asked a question. I'm going to say my pshat. Boyer v'oichel mitoich. Boyer v'oichel oichel mitoich hapsoiles. So here we have concept number 2. Oichel mitoich hapsoiles. Maybe on my list over here, it appears first. Lo mishaneh, because it goes well with ayal, great. It just might be hard to remember. Le'alter. It would be better if it had a mem, miyad in Hebrew, whatever, fine. But it's easy to remember these 3 things. Oichel mitoich hapsoiles, biyad, and miyad, le'alter. So over here he says the pshat is like this. What the Brisa start off saying, I'm doing boyer, I'm eating food, I take out the good from the inedible part, the psoilas. Boyer miniach, and I do it for my friend, oichel mitoich hapsoiles, that's great. Psoilas mitoich oichel lo yivror. But if I do it in reverse, I take the bad from the good, because that is the derech. Why is good from bad okay? Because that's not the derech. That's not how you do it. I have a whole basket of fruit. I'm going to take the leaves. I'm going to take the bad stuff out. I'm going to leave my fruit. I'm not usually going to pick my oranges out of my basket. V'mbirich chayav chatos. So here we have the concept of oichem terech. Maskif la abaya, and this seems to be like the pshat. Mide oichem terech katani. Where in the Brisa doesn't mention anything about taking out food versus taking out the inedible part? Elom abayo, boyer v'oichel la'alter. So here's condition number 3. It needs to be done right away. Now, look at Mishnah Berurah, look at all these things, the eglei tal. What is miyad? If my wife does boyer before she goes to shul, and then, because we're going to have the meal at 11:30, and she goes to shul at 9:30, Lukula alma, that's bad. That's not la'alter. That's not right away. It has to be somewhere within the realm of eating it right away. What does that mean exactly? I don't know exactly in minutes. I do it, I sit down and eat it. Now, if I'm going to have a long meal, I do it before the meal, I have a long meal, that's okay also. If my meal takes 1.5 hours, that's fine. Because I'm preparing it for this meal that I sat down right now. They discuss, what about if I am a caterer and I have to prepare a meal for 200 people, a Shevet Brachas on Shabbos? So for me, a lot of Achronim say that's okay to prepare 5 hours before the meal, because for this caterer, that's la'alter, that's right away for this meal. Some say no. Okay, but the Chazon Ish talks about 30 minutes. A lot of people know about this concept, 30 minutes. Not so pashut. The point is, each and every person, the Achronim even say, it all depends on the person, on the place, on the situation. What does miyad mean? If it's typical for you to separate and then sit down and eat, that's miyad. And if you go to shul in between, that's terrible. And if you do something else and prepare, so have that in mind. That has to be miyad, whatever that means. So if I do la'alter, I separate it for right away, and I do it for my friend right away, great. But if I do it for 2 hours from now, even though it's on Shabbos itself, lo yivrar, I'm not allowed to. And if I did it, it's as if I'm trying to store it for long term. V'chayav chatos, I'm chayav chatos. Amur Rabbanan kamei derava. Yeah.
Why is that any more mukrach in the Mishnah than his question on Midi Ktani? Doesn't say that either. And if you're going to say, obviously, the Brisa is talking about Shabbos, then where does he come up with a fill of Bo Bayom? Say today versus tomorrow.
I hear what you're asking. By the way, I don't know that this answers it so much, but Abaya, all the Rishonim say, Abaya does agree with everybody that not all, but the 2 concepts that were said in front of him. In other words, he's saying, so this might explain what you're asking. I appreciate you asking it. It's a good kasha. What he's saying is that it actually includes everything. You don't tell me that the Brisa only means Bekli and only means Oichel. No, that's not Muchach. But if I could combine all these things, I agree to everything you said, Rav Amnuna. I agree that it has to be Biyad. I agree it has to be Oichem Terech, but I want to add one Nekuda, says Abaya. That's maybe a better way to read it. Not that it's not Muchach. You're right, it's not in the Brisa. But Abai says, don't tell me that the Brisa only says Yad. And the Brisa only says Oichem Terech. The Brisa is talking about all these 3 things. I need all of them in order to eat it right away, in order to be mutter. And that's in fact how all the Rishonim take the sugya and say, you in fact need those 3 things. Oichem Terech Pseiles, Biyad, and La'alter. Yeah, does it answer a little bit? Well, it doesn't, because that's not so much, he doesn't ask the question. Mida Oichem Terech Pseiles doesn't mean that it doesn't mention it. It doesn't only mention it. Don't make that point and stick to that point. Why is your Oichem Terech Pseiles better than my La'alter or better than my...
You have to say something like that. You just have to understand why Abaye didn't just stick to what a shot in the Brisa would be, which would be Miyad versus tomorrow.
No, because that's not the pshat. Because Abaye says that's not the pshat. Abaye says I need all 3 things to get there.
Before that, then what was Machrech Abaye to that? Why doesn't he reject them because it doesn't?
Because Abaye knows that there's 3 conditions, and he's just saying, how do you see in the Brisa your one condition? It's a better question now. It's actually a better question. Where, if I have 3 conditions and I know about them, where do you see in the Brisa mention anything about a Yad? That you're focusing on Yad? And where do you see in the Mishnah anything about Oichem Terech Pseiles? I'm telling you, the Brisa is saying all 3 things. It doesn't mention it, but it means all these 3 things. According to the Rishonim that say that Abaye takes these 3 things, all he's saying to them is, it doesn't mention just your Nekuda. I'm telling you, it's mentioning everything. The Bryce is talking about everything. Says the Gemara, he had two types of food. Now, over here, Rashi will admit that you have to stick the word shnei. Not that you have to, but you could. Before we're talking about mini oichlim, it means one type of food with psoilus. Over here, it's talking about two types of food. Ubirer v'achal, ubirer v'niach. Now, of course, if you're going to take apples from oranges, that is the same thing as taking oichel from psoilus. Right now, the apples are the inedible thing, or whatever it is, one of the two. Two minim. Another very interesting halacha that I saw brought down, that if you have types of chicken, you have pulki, some people call it, thighs, whatever you want to call it. You have the dark and the white chicken. Those are two minim according to a lot of achronim, Machlokes, Reb Yashiv, and Shom Zamra, but it's something to consider. Don't think, oh, chicken is chicken, and I just want the wing, and I'm going to pull it out of the pile. So if you do it with the kli, let's say, I don't know where it comes into, something to think about. So you have these things. Ravashi masni potter. So we have a problem here. We just finished saying that either you're chayav, midoi raisa, or you're pot, or you're mutter. You're doing it with your hand, it's mutter. There's no mention of the word potter. Of potter avalasur, that there's an issur d'rabbanan. Either it's an issur d'oraisa, or it's completely mutter. Where the Rav Ashi come and say potter. If I did breira, it's potter. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yirim difne masni chayav, Rav Ashi masni potter, votani chayav. It's either mutter or chayav. That's why you have to stick in the word mutter here. Votani mutter, votani chayav. But it doesn't mention the word potter. I can make a distinction. The two top ones are issur d'rabbanan. The two bottom ones are issur d'oraisa. Rav Ashi was talking about the two top ones, like we discussed before, and that's why he uses the word potter, which means aval asur. It's asur d'rabbanan. Very interesting. A new idea that there was a Shabbos bacher. You know, like in yeshiva, there was always a guy on Shabbos in charge of the kitchen or the waiter, and they made rotations. Rashi says they made a rotation, and it happened to be Rav Bivi's week. He was in charge of bringing out the food to all the guys in yeshiva. Rav Bivi, I don't know, he was a gadol. He's a waiter. Viglu Reb Ami Verbasi, and all of a sudden show up the famous Reb Ami Verbasi, and he's the waiter. Shadikamayu Kalkala de Peri takes a basket full of fruit and tosses it in front of them, and everything goes all over the table. V'loidano, says Rav Dimi, I saw this story. So we're not talking about a waiter here. We're talking about, obviously, a huge Talmid Chacham, a gadol, because he's being medayik in what he did. Is it because he didn't want to take out the apples from the peels or whatever? Rashi says there's peels, all sorts of dirt there, and he felt that it's also why? Because maybe he's preparing too much in advance, it wasn't loud, or whatever the reason is. Or maybe it was nothing to do with the Hilchas Bayer. He just wanted to show that he's large, and he took a whole 40 pounds of apples and threw it on the table and everything rolling. Or you can learn, since it went rolling, then it did its Bayer by itself. There was already no peels, nothing. You just grab an apple from top of the table and you're good. Turmasin, we have this thing, the Gemara is huge into Turmasin. Once again, Mr. Feder, who's not really on a lot, but I just saw my thing Matzah Shabbos, he brought me turmasin when we learned turmasin. It's a type of a bean, you can get it here in Israel, it comes in this jar. It looks like arbus kind of. Interesting type of bean. Why? Because if you do bayer to the turmasin, you take out the food from it, you chayev for bayer. Ask the Gemara, what are you telling me? You're not allowed to take food from within the inedible part? Says the Gemara, Shani Turmasin. These are different. These kind of beans are funny. The Shalki, turn the page, Ayin Dalet Amud Beis. The Shalki lay Shiva Zimna. You're supposed to cook it 7 times. Vilay Shalki, so Rashi sticks in, he has 3 pshatim here. He sticks in the word Masrach lay. Vilay Shalki Masrach. Or at least Shalki lay Masrach. In other words, Rashi is saying that you cook it 2-3 times, and then these turmasin could cause other food to go bad. So then it has a halacha of psoilus. All of a sudden you refer to this food as psoilus. Okay, so whatever the reason is, this is a psoilus food. This is not your typical food that you take and you eat. This has the ability to ruin other things. Fine. V'atoichen, also extremely important halachas. We're not going to get to all the halachas that apply, but remember, this is Daf Ayin Daled and Beis. You can look up at the halachas. So we're done now with Boirer, unfortunately, and that is a full Siman Shin Yutes. Let me see if I wrote anything down that's interesting for. Oh, very interesting halacha I saw. What about a salt shaker? And a lot of people put rice into a salt shaker so that the salt doesn't harden, and you go like this, and the rice doesn't come out of the small holes. Is that boirer? So, interesting machlokes between Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach and Rabbi Yashiv, I think it is. But Rabbi Yashiv says, Rabbi Moshe says it's aser. Believe it or not, Rabbi Moshe, we think of him as a matter, maybe, I don't know. But he says in this case, aser. You're making sure that you don't want the hard rice to fall into your plate. That's boirer. But Rabbi Yashiv says no. The salt shaker is not made to prevent it's made for a certain amount of salt to come out, but not to prevent the rice from coming out, and therefore it's mutter. And Rosh Zalman Auerbach says a very interesting thing. He says it's mutter, but for a completely different reason. He says it's mutter because when you use a kli to eat immediately, you're putting it like this into your soup, that's mutter. Because it's immediate. Fine. Let's go back. I'm just saying, look into these halachas, amazing halachas, and apply all day long. I would have never thought about the salt shaker thing. I probably have salt in my rice in my salt shaker. Never thought about that. Maybe it's an issue of boirer. All right, Papa. So we're talking about grinding. What is grinding? Let's see if I can find them here. Don't know where it is. Not important. It was here somewhere. We'll find it, of course, after shir is over. So grinding, you take your kernels, you put it in a machine, you go like this. Okay, fine. You know what? Maybe I'll just pull it out of here, so it could be right over here. Okay. I think we know what grinding is, but just in those days it's a little different, maybe. So, what do we learn from this halacha? Omar Papa, Hai Manda Paris Silka. If a guy takes a beet and chops it down really, really thin. Yeah.
Just before you start, we have a new member on Zoom, Barry Schleifer from Carney Shomron. Originally from Baltimore, but now he lives in Carney Shomron.
Shalom Aleichem, Rabbi Schleifer. How you doing? Welcome, welcome. Hope to see you on our cruise. I don't know if you know, but if you finish Shas with us, we go on a big cruise at the end of Nida, so hope to see you there. Says the Gemara, we only have 8 minutes, and by the way, it's not unusual for us to do the entire Amud Beis in 7 minutes. Have no fear, if you're new to this. Amar Papa, hi Manda Parim, and the guy just got an email that you're going to need to slow down Amud Beis. He watches everything at 1.75 speed, but when it gets to Amud Beis, he tones it down a little bit. Amar Menashe, hi Manda, so you take the beet and you mince it. You chop it into small pieces. That's basically what you're doing. You're taking kernel and you're grinding it down to small pieces. Chayiv mishum teichen. You mamish chayiv. Now, is it only beets or it's all vegetables? The Mechaber brings down it's all vegetables. Taisus talks about only beets. Okay? Some people say if you do it for eating it right away, biyad, it's similar to boirer. Very interesting halacha the Rishonim talk about. Omer Menashe, Hai man de silte. If you take wood and you chop it down to small pieces, chayiv mishum teichen, so it's not only food. Very interesting halacha. If a guy tells you, I want you to chop up this wood on Shabbos, you're in Siberia, points a gun to your head. It's better to cut it down, let's say with an axe, than to cut it with a saw, because even this book brings down sawing a piece of wood on Shabbos is Issa D'Oraisa, because those small, the sawdust that comes out is teichen Issa D'Oraisa. Interesting. And this is halach l'maisa for us. Where's this halach l'maisa? If you want the exact size, so that's what they did in the Mishkan. They would cut down the things to exact size. They would cut leather into straps. Where do we have something that we cut down to exact size? Toilet paper. So that's a nidain. Let's say you're stuck and they should cover that brios you're allowed to cut the toilet paper on Shabbos. You don't want to go out of the bathroom without that. It's better to cut it not on the line, because the line, it's funny, I have a thing of toilet paper, not that I have it, but I just had it here, not for the shear, but for not, the line is exact measurements, right? So it's an either. Do I want this? Why do I cut it on the line? Because I want exact measurements, or do I cut it on the line because it's easier to cut? Because if I want it to be a certain measurement, that's asur midaraisa, that's mechatech, that's cutting something exact. So that's what they say. If you're stuck in a bathroom and you hold that your ladder, it's mamish covered abriyos, and you could use toilet paper on Shabbos, better to cut it in the middle somewhere, like crazy like this, because then you're not mechatech at least, and you're over issa d'Rabbanan versus issa d'Oraisa. Says the Gemara, kneading and baking. We're talking about the Mishkan. There was no afi in the Mishkan. Yes, we baked bread, and we mentioned that in the beginning of Sefton, we baked the lechem aponim. But that was after the Mishkan was built. I'm talking about putting up the Mishkan, physically putting it up. What do I need to put it up? I need dyes to dye my yiriyos, my things. So why are you talking about bread? Says the Gemara, because this is what people are used to. Nobody knows how to dye. So if I tell you, the malachas are like baking bread, you know, I have to plow, and I have to sow, and I have to reap, and I have to do that, zoira, mirakit, all these things. You understand what it is. It makes more sense to us. You take a peg and you throw it into the oven. Why? You want to dry it out. So again, it's not only food, it's if I'm trying to dry it out. Now the Gemara understands that mevashel over here means to soften something up. Ask the Gemara, you're not softening it, you're making it hard. Pshita, so I would think that since I'm doing it in order to make it hard, I make the opposite of cooking, and therefore it should be mutter. The way to make it hard is you soften it up in the oven, then all the moisture leaves, and then it becomes hard. So I actually cooked it. Talking about pitch, tar. I have tar. How do I make tar? We all know on our roof, it's nice and hard. But I have to soften it up in order to use it. So if I soften it up, that's exactly cooking. I'm softening something up. Pshita, what's the chiddush? It hardens up again, so I didn't do mevashel. The ran even sticks in another thing. It is exactly like it was before. I didn't gain anything. It started hard, went soft, went hard. So it's 100%. I would think that it's mutter. Kamashmal and sauce. Amarova. Hayman da avid chavisa. If somebody made a barrel made out of earthenware, chayiv mishum shevachatois. He's chayiv 7. Says Rashi. He's toichen the dirt. He's boirer. Because he wants to separate the dirt from the bad. Umar kida benapa. He does like this. It's sarkada. He wants to get the bad out of the good. Lush. He mixes it together. Mimachek. He smooths it over. Maver. He puts it in the fire. And he's mevashel. So, but says Rashi, I'm not over on chayfer guma. I'm not digging because I don't want the hole. Now, Tanura, if I make an oven, I'm chayiv mishum shmoyne chatois because I have to add maki bepatish. But there's no maki bepatish in a barrel because that happens by itself. Now, what about boina? Says Rashi in all these things there's no boina because there's no boina bekalim. Noam says no boina bekalim. So Noam look in Taisus. Taisus might be mechuluk on you. Says the Gemara, Omar Abaya, Hayman da'avet chalso. Now, I take this, I'm trying to make some sort of basket or reeds, so I'm chayev 11. What are the 11, says Rashi? Koitzer, I have to take the reeds off the ground, and I have to plant them. Ma'amer, I have to gather them. Boirer, the good from the bad. Memachik, I have to smooth it down. Toichen, I have to grind it. He says I take one from the other. It's toichen. Mechatech, I have to cut it. Mesach, like we said, means this guy, don't confuse it. I have to put the reeds on a starter reel. Where am I? Somewhere in Rashi here. Mesach. And then you have Oiseshtei Batinirim, which is, I'm putting it through 2 of these loops in order to get this whole reed thing started, to make a basket. And then I have Ariga. I'm putting it together, Oireg. And then I have Maki Bepatish. I'm finishing it off. And if I finished off the edge, then I'm chayiv on 13 because what am I doing? I'm adding toifer v'koisher. I am sewing and I'm also knotting it. I'm making a knot on Shabbos. and I'm also sewing. Fine. Basically, again, these are like riddles. How do you get the 13 melachas if I make a reed? You have to think about it. I could do A, B, C. But I'm also digging. No, digging is not part of it because it's like a riddle. How do you get this? Like that Gemara. How do I have all these Isurei Arayis in one marriage? It's a way to think about not that you're 100% going to do all 13, but I'm telling you, think about these melachas. How could you get to 13? One of the melachas is, two of the melachas is shearing off the wool and cleaning it. What if I don't shear it? On the animal itself, I start weaving it. I could get to 3. Because as I'm doing it, the hairs are coming off. I'm going to pull it off. I am how do you say menapetz? I am untangling it on Shabbos. And I'm weaving it. I'm making the tviyah. Here's the tviyah. You see, the guy takes all this bundled up wool, and I make a nice string out of it. Toiva. Mesach, here's the cleaning, and here's cutting. Poitzeya, cutting. Great. Says the Gemara, Rav Kana Omein derech gziza bekach, vein derech menapetz bekach, vein derech tiva bekach. That's not the way you do it. Not the way you do it. You're not chayiv. Veloy v'tarim shmeider Nechemia. There's a pasuk shotav beizim v'tova beizim. Seems like when the women they made the things for the Mishkan was on the goats. Al matviya al gabi behem shmot tviya, and the Torah even calls it like that. Says the Gemara, Chachma Yisera Shani. That was they had a special Chachma, like the Torah talks about them, that the Chachamis. It was done by Chachma, not today. Torah Rabbanon, at Toilish is a Kanof, if a person rips out a feather. So the Ran says, even if the bird is dead, Rashi seems to argue and says, no, only when the bird is alive. And he chops off the top of the feather, like you could ask Mr. Kornbluth, that's his business, to take off the fine, the very thin part of the feather. Vakoitmoi means to clip it off. Va'amortoi, and to remove the hair from it. So the Rishonim talk about if you're removing the hair, but you don't need the bottom, you do need the bottom part. You need the hard part, you're going to make a hat out of it or something. Chayiv shalish chatois. You chayiv 3. Why? That's called shearing. By pulling off the feather, you're shearing. And clipping it is cutting because you want it a certain size. And I'm smoothing out the actual stem of the feather. So, beneged to us, according to the Ran, even on a dead animal, you could, so if let's say you're wearing a mink coat or something, or whatever it is, and you start pulling out the hair like this, that could be a Issa D'Oraisa. Even though, because the animal's dead, and he's saying, according to the Ran, even on a dead animal, by pulling it off, that's Tailish. You should look into that. All right, listen, it's kind of late, so we'll just start from here tomorrow, I guess. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, Rabbi Isai. Amen. Before this year, I told you I love you. That's something else. That was just to give you the cough to start this year. Now I really needed it. Yeshua, I really needed it. Without that, I don't know what I would have done. Especially with that Musar email. Imamish put me down. So Yishkoich for that. Imamish, I appreciate the chizuk.
You gave a good year. I appreciate you giving this year.
Yeshua, I have to tell you, I saw you actually concentrating today and listening. You weren't so much on your WhatsApp, and I know that you know the shir inside out today. And that's why you're not even saying anything about the shir, because you want me to ask you questions. I saw.
There are mics that says you can't put salt inside.
you can't use a salt shaker that has rice. Yeah, you're right.
I bought you rice yesterday. I thought you were going to bring out the rice and salt.
You know what? I was just thinking of something else. It's a good thing I didn't go to the Tchelis factory today to do the daf because we didn't get there yet. We missed the sugi, so I've gone on the wrong day. He really wants me to come, but I can't get out there. It's too tough to go all the way out there. It's a great trip for somebody else. Maybe on a Ben Azmanim day we'd go out there, but whatever. One day we'll go out there.
He said he'll come to you.
He'll come to me. Well, he already came in brachas. He already came. I have his stuff. Baruch Hashem. Tomorrow we'll show it again. Everything is good. Baruch Hashem. He doesn't need to be matriach.
Shkoyach Rabbi Eli, toda rabba. Fantastic shiur. Thank you.
Thank you. Who was that? Simon Cohen?
Yeah.
Shkoyach to you. Don't.
Some more people coming from Renana, please God.
Beautiful. Shalom Aleichem to all the people from Renana. And also, Simon, I want you to start preparing a special piece for 7 years from now for the cruise. We're gonna need like good pieces. I want you to start working on them right now. Nice chazonas. You know what I'm talking about? You got it. You got this covered. Okay.
I apologize that you cannot send packages to Israel. I have a lot of packages waiting.
Oh, very good. I wanted to mention, I'm running out of ink. It's mamish an emergency. I don't know if Leon could help in this thing. I wanted to ask him also. I need Canon 251. I can't get it here in Israel. And if I can't get it here in Israel, I have to go buy a new printer or something. My two printers work on the same.
There's absolutely no shipping.
There's no shipping, huh?
If anybody knows somebody coming,
Where's my... What? What'd you say?
I also need somebody to bring stuff. I'll
Oh,
pay
here.
somebody else.
Here, this is what it looks like. If anybody knows how to get this...
Elliot, could I buy a laser printer here? It's not worth using the inkjets and shipping it.
I should buy new...
cheaper.
but this is not...
Buy a color laser.
Oh my gosh, you're using an inkjet printer, Ellie?
Yeah, but this ink is dirt cheap, and I love the printer. It prints these giant things.
Definitely right. For the amount.
These are A4, A3s, A4,
What model number?
251.
No, the printer, because sometimes the number might be different in Israel than it is there. On my printer, my HP, it's a little different, but I have a different ink number in Israel than they have in America.
But we have a guy called Nehemiah Seltzer who works. He runs a print one of these shops, and he said he can't get it.
YouTube doesn't need this. Ellie, turn off YouTube. We don't need this discussion.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Ellie, Muti's definitely